He's Brazilian and he only costs 80 million. He scores, he assists, Anthony doesn't give a shit. Welcome back to Red Devils TV. That's my new chant for Anthony. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, as well as leave a like on the video and subscribe. So Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest 2-0 away from home, and Manchester United go back to third place. And honestly, this has been a perfect weekend for Manchester United with football, and you just cannot. It's been brilliant. Almost. Arsenal obviously dropped points, but that's obviously City were nowhere near them. But Spurs losing, Newcastle losing, it's just an absolute, and United winning. It's absolutely perfect weekend for football for Manchester United, and I'm just so happy to see this. But yes, this is your tactical breakdown of what happened in the Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest match. So first of all, Anthony, absolute masterclass, scoring the goal. Obviously, whether you want to say it's a tap-in or not, you still have to be there to score them goals. And that assist to Diogo Dalot, absolutely perfection. And this is why we haven't really seen Anthony's creative side, in my opinion. Because with Anthony, he's a brilliant winger, and he's getting better and better with each week. And now I think this is now the time, around the end of the season, that we're now going to see the best of Anthony. He's starting to adapt to the Premier League. And I think that even though people say, oh, he's just a one-trick pony, I've been at fault of that, and I have said that in the past. But that's because all he does seem to be is cutting on that left-hand side. But now, with players like Diogo Dalot running into boxes like that and making them runs, we're starting to see that creative side of Anthony, which is brilliant because we need more creative players. And I've said the reason that Anthony should play on the right over Sancho is because he's left-footed. He brings that invertedness from the right, and he's also very creative by cutting in on his left. Obviously, his right foot does need work, but again, he was brilliant today. And obviously, Bruno Fernandes for me does get my man of the match, but Anthony is literally on par with Bruno Fernandes. I just thought Bruno Fernandes was absolutely exceptional today. But yes, Diogo Dalot as well, 100th appearance for Manchester United, and scores his first ever Premier League goal. I mean, you can't say any better than that. You get 100 appearances for your club and you score your first goal. It must be a great day for Diogo Dalot. But yes, considering he had to play at left back today as well, I felt like he did a very good job. Obviously, he had that little blip error at the end of the first half. And I do think that Diogo Dalot obviously recovered well. Obviously, we didn't concede from it. So, Diogo Dalot, for me, very solid performance. Bruno Fernandes and Eriksen, brilliant. Absolute masterclass. I felt like Bruno Fernandes, like I've already said, gets my man of the match. Bruno Fernandes was absolutely everywhere on the pitch today, especially in that first half. I would say he dropped off a little bit in the second half, but he was still a massive threat. That just shows you how crucial and how threatening he was in that first half. And Eriksen, considering he wasn't set to start and Sabitzer got injured during the warm-up, Eriksen wasn't fully trained. Obviously, he's only just come back from injury, and considering he's just put in a performance like that, I've got to take my hat off to him. Absolutely solid performance from Christian Eriksen today. And I just thought it was absolutely brilliant, to be honest. The back line, Erik ten Hag said it himself. They were defensively, we were very, very good. It's just going forward, we need to score more goals. And using Erik ten Hag's words, Erik ten Hag turned around and said that we need to be finishing off the game quicker and not be winning just 2-0 late on in the match. We need to be finishing off the game and winning 3 or 4-0 to also help with our goal difference as well, because that's a massive factor into our season as well, because our goal difference, yes, is slowly starting to increase, but we need to start scoring more goals if we want to, if we don't want another situation where we lose on goal difference, because that would be absolutely crushing if we missed out on top four. But obviously, Spurs and Newcastle have obviously recently lost, and United now go up to third place with 56 points. But again, if Newcastle win in their next game, then they go back to third, because obviously they've got a bit better goal difference than us. But anyway, the back line, as I was saying, Erik ten Hag said it best, that with Harry Maguire, he is much better on the right-hand side because he's more comfortable, he's more compact, and that's why Victor Lindelof played on the left today, because he's confident with both feet. Victor Lindelof is obviously, he's primary right-footed, but he's more confident with his left foot than Harry Maguire is. And as we've seen, where Harry Maguire has become a meme, where he's become a very hated in our fan base, he's always played on that left-hand side throughout the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era, throughout the Ralf Rangnick era, and at the start of Erik ten Hag. And Erik ten Tenag's obviously a very intelligent manager, and he's learned that Harry Maguire is a lot better on the right-hand side than he is the left. And Harry Maguire today, for me, had a solid performance. Again, and he gets a clean sheet. And for me, Harry Maguire is not putting a foot wrong in at the moment. Obviously, he does get that early yellow card. But apart from that, what else did he actually do wrong? Obviously, the penalty appeal. Nottingham Forest fans will be crying for a penalty, but obviously everyone knows that's not a penalty all day. Even if that happened to Nottingham Forest, I would not be claiming a penalty. I'd be like, no, that's not a penalty. That's not a penalty. Like, because I've learned with VAR, with how inconsistent it is, you've actually sort of adapted. Well, this is all, obviously I can only speak for myself, but I've actually learned and adapted to learn like what fouls are starting to go and what fouls are starting to be given. Obviously, the Casemiro situation with his 2 red cards in the Premier League this season are ridiculous. That's when I don't understand it. But there are certain things like the handballs, certain aggressive tackles, like they're going to get overturned or they're going to be given, for example. But yes, Martial today, I felt like he did okay. I mean, he obviously kind of got the first goal. Obviously, he has the shot on target. Keylor Navas deflects it, and Antony slots it home to make it 1-0. And honestly, all I can say is that it was a great performance. Manchester United absolutely dominated Nottingham Forest today, and we should be, because they're a relegation side. Nottingham Forest are 18th in the league. Manchester United should be breezing past these guys, and Erik is right. We should be winning this game 3 or 4-0. But at the end of the day, that's not happened. But the main thing is that we've got the 3 points, and that's all that matters, because you can only beat what's in front of you. But anyway, I'm going to give you my match ratings now. So for me, David De Gea gets a 7. Didn't have too much to do. Solid performance today. His distribution was actually really good today. So for me, David De Gea gets a 7. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, for me, I'm going to give 7.5. So well, yeah, we'll say a 7. But yeah, 7.5 for me for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Diogo Dalot gets his goal. I'm going to give him an 8. Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, I'm going to give 7.5s to, like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, so I'm going to give him 7s. 7. But if you know, you know. Casemiro, also 7. I felt like that Casemiro wasn't as standout as he normally is, but I think that's because of how great our midfield was. Obviously, more players stood out, the likes of Antony, Bruno Fernandes, Eriksen. I've already mentioned their names. So Casemiro didn't really stand out much today, but he did well, breaking up the play and just doing what Casemiro does, just doing Casemiro things. He can do it with his eyes closed. He's the best holding midfielder in the world, and he's one of the main reasons why Manchester United is completely transformed. Bruno Fernandes, for me, gets a 9. I do give him a man of the match because I do think he was absolutely exceptional today. Eriksen, for me, gets an 8. Absolutely brilliant performance. Antony also gets a 9, but obviously I've just said that Bruno Fernandes, for me, just edges the man of the match. Martial, I'm going to give a 7 to. I do think that he wasn't as impactful as he normally is, but I do think that he was absolutely brilliant today. And Jadon Sancho, for me, also gets a 7. Wasn't as involved as he is with as the other front line, but I do think that Jadon Sancho did also have a decent performance today. As well as who came on. Weghorst, I'll give a 6, as well as Fred, I'll give a 6. But yes, that has been my Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest match reaction. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment and share, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.